Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Fallout 76 video, and today we are heading over to the public test server to check out the new seasonal event that is arriving over there. That is Invaders From Beyond. So, before we jump into the main content, usual little heads up. Obviously, we're on the public test server. It's unreleased content. We're going to be talking about some things that might get fixed before the thing goes live. But also, if you guys want to avoid seeing this content before it comes out, this is your opportunity to duck out. So, there's your little FYI. Let's jump into it. So, we have a shiny new seasonal event that is arriving in March, Invaders From Beyond. This one's been delayed from last year, but it's looking fairly cool. It's a relatively simple seasonal event. Fun thing about it compared to, say, some of the other ones is the other ones are much more seasonal than perhaps this event is. Obviously, you've got Xion, which is set in spring, and then you've got Crumb's Meat Cook, which is a barbecue, is a summer thing. Then the Mothman Equinox is also dated, and as are the other ones as well. This one, on the other hand, being Invaders From Beyond, being about aliens, is not so calendar-centric. So they can kind of drop it in wherever they like, which is good. It means there's at least something that they can pop in there for us to engage with. Or another something, rather. So that's a really cool little feature about it. So how does this work? Basically, this event pops up on the hour, at the top of the hour, as per most seasonal events. And it can occur in multiple locations around the map. They're listed as being sort of high-profile locations, although, as always with these sorts of things, I guess that depends who you ask, really. So the 3 locations I've seen so far, not had as much time to play with this as I would like, but anyway, the 3 locations I've seen so far have been Mononga, they have been Wavy Willards, and Garahan Mining. So based on that, take your pick as to just how significant they are. But they're cool spots nonetheless. And the basic gist of it is you get 3 brainwave siphons in the area. You activate the first one to start the event. And in order to progress through it, the first thing you have to do is slay a bunch of alien enemies in order to draw out a sub-boss elite-type enemy who is defending the first brainwave siphon. You take them down, and the force field protecting it will come down, then you can destroy the siphon. After that, you repeat it again for siphon number 2, and again for siphon number 3. Before you take down that last one, you get the final boss, who is a legendary sort of alien commander. So, relatively simple in principle. Obviously, you've got plenty of people running around slaying aliens left, right, and centre, and then blowing them up. So, it progresses reasonably swiftly, this one. In terms of its length, I would say it's one of the shorter seasonal events. I wouldn't compare it to the Halloween or the Christmas ones, because they're completely different in their format, but Fashion's definitely a longer event. I would say the Mothman Equinox is probably a little bit longer as well. But if you look at Crumb's Meat Cook, on the other hand, which is not exactly the same, but in a sort of contained event style, it's similar. That one generally takes less time to complete, so it's sort of short to medium length, this one, which is fine. It means you just dive in, get it done, and then get back to what you were doing, which is cool. So one of the most obvious things you can see from running around this event is the quantum world weather effect that pops up during the event. It's the same kind of principle that they've done for the Mothman Equinox, in that has a sort of coloured atmosphere during it. This one has the Quantum World one as well, so you've got that turquoise sky and stuff. It's kind of fun. I don't know if that affects the whole map. I'm guessing it's pretty localised on the event, but it gives it a little splash of colour and atmosphere that's sort of unique to the event, so that's quite cool as well. We've also got a number of different enemy types that we haven't really seen in the game before. We've got the regular old Zatans that we've seen in Fallout 4, and we've seen their corpses in 76 as well. But obviously these ones are alive, running around and shooting at you. So we've got those guys. We've got a couple of new ones. So we've got alien drones, which are little they're vaguely triangle floating drone type robot things that are quite cool. A bit bigger than Liberators, a bit smaller than the other robots, but they float around at roughly head height and shoot you, as you can imagine. And we also have more powerful aliens who seem to be wearing some hybrid of a spacesuit and power armor, is the best way I can think of to describe it. Doesn't look like any players will be fitting in there. Human beings are a little too chunky to fit in those power armor suits. But the spindly Zatans, they fit in just fine. So it's quite cool. They're very, very stylized. So we've got alien power armor going around as well. And that's kind of fun. Adds a new alien type to the game as well, which is nice to see, new enemy types. Speaking of new things, obviously we've got a whole set of new rewards as well. There's a whole load of new camp stuff. There are new weapons as well. They're more returning weapons than new ones. So there's variations on the Alien Blaster that takes it down a similar road to the Crusader pistol from the Brotherhood of Steel, in that you can change the types of energy damage it does. It could be freezing, it could be energy, etc., etc. And also there are other types of alien blasts that have been added in that kind of hark back to the Mothership Zeta DLC from Fallout 3. I haven't had the opportunity to get my hands on those yet, because the plans drop sort of one at a time, as per with these events, so you'd need to get the plan for the item, and then any mods you wanted for it would be separate plans as well. So it's going to be an ongoing thing, I suspect, with this to get all of the rewards, and there is one little issue with that, but I think it's going to be a PTS-type fix, which is, what it's on the PTS for. But yeah, definitely looking forward to getting my hands on a whole bunch of those. That's definitely going to be cool. So one of the other cool factors to this event is that other in-game public events, so more regular ones like Campfire Tales, Free Range, Line in the Sand, and apparently a few others, can also have alien enemy types spawn during those as well. Obviously, it's not all of the public events, it's just certain ones, so I've not had any luck actually seeing those for myself yet, but I'm going to take it from the patch notes that they are popping up there, so something extra to keep your eye out for whilst you're playing the usual game and the Invaders From Beyond event is running. So, there are a couple of shortcomings to the event at the moment, which is exactly why it's on the PTS, of course, and I suspect for most of these things, they're going to be things that will be fixed during the course of the testing phase. And there's one thing in here as well that I think is mostly only an issue because it's on the test server, and once it goes to live, it will not be an issue anymore. So the first one is ammo drops. Back with the Mothman Equinox event just before Christmas, they introduced the ammo drops for whichever weapon you're using. It's a thing that's basically been in daily ops for a while, in that whichever weapon you use, you'll get a certain amount of ammo back. It's been downscaled for the main game. However, that's not currently working for Invaders From Beyond on the PTS. It seems if you're using an energy weapon that uses fusion cells, or if you're using an alien weapon, you'll be fine. There's plenty of those dropping. But in terms of specific bullets for your specific gun, they're not dropping at the moment. So I'm guessing that's something that Bethesda will be fixing when it actually goes live, or before it goes live. Another related thing to that is, as I say, somewhat similar, is the area looting thing. I did notice that area looting doesn't seem to always find all of the enemies in the area. I know it's got a limited range on it, but you can be standing within a few yards of an enemy you know is there, and it's not popping up in the area looting, or their loot is not. Which is an intermittent issue that hopefully they'll be fixing on the as the PTS goes through as well. So that's a little bit of an issue at the moment, but again, I imagine something they will be cracking on with over the coming weeks. It's not coming out till March, this particular update, so they've got plenty of time to work on it. Good 6 weeks to 8 weeks as it is, so definitely plenty of time for that one to be fixed. One of the issues that I kind of touched on before, but is running at the moment, is every time I've played the event so far, one particular plan has dropped every time. So I've racked up 3 copies of it so far, which I don't know is if intentional or not. I would think not. And that is the Stein plan. With the other seasonal events, you get a seasonal themed Stein for it, and that usually drops the first time you complete the event, and then you're done, it doesn't drop again. But it seems repeat plans, particularly repeat Stein plans, are a bit of an issue at the moment. So again, another sort of thing they'll be ironing out with the PTS. And the last sort of PTS thing that I think I would like to see them tweak a little bit is the final boss. So the last enemy you have to take out before the final brainwave siphon is a legendary one. About what you'd expect. But this guy gets taken out very, very quickly. Now, some of that's going to be down to the PTS. Most of the people who are playing on the PTS are relatively high level. They are long-term players. They're very experienced. They're also some of the more dedicated players, which means they take things down very, very quickly. So when it goes to public servers, you'll have a bit more of a mix, because there are more worlds, more people being drawn from, etc., etc. So it won't be quite as pronounced, this particular effect, I don't think. However, I think probably buffing up that final enemy commander would be a good move in this event, because that particular last boss is going down a little bit too quickly at the moment. It's a bit like the Mega Sloth in Fashion Act, that goes down very, very fast. The same problem is persisting here, so hopefully they'll get on that one and give that particular end boss a little bit of a buff. So last 2 issues that I have picked up on from my little run through, and as I say, this is a first impressions thing, so we'll see how it goes when it actually goes live and what changes over the coming weeks. But the location seems to have a bit of bearing on how much I enjoyed the event. It's quite cool overall, but in both Monongah and at Scarahan Mining in particular, the location kind of took something away from it. With Monongah, there are an awful lot of cars and pickup trucks and stuff around that location that blow up. which absolutely massacres my frame rate, just because there's so many explosions going on all at once. Because you've got all of these things blowing up, you've got people throwing grenades, you've got people with explosive guns, and all that together pulls your frame rate down a bit. Obviously, I'm playing on PC, and I've got what should be a pretty overkill machine for Fallout 76, and this is still a thing. Some of it will be a PTS issue, because I usually find the PTS is not quite as stable and smooth as the live servers, but nonetheless, that's a little bit of a thing, particularly in places like Monongah, where there's a lot of stuff that blows up. The same thing kind of applied to Garahan Mining, because you've got the car park out front there, where there's a lot of stuff that blows up. Which sort of leads into the other major issue I had, which is kind of a me thing, but it's also a thing I would like to see dealt with for the benefit of the whole game, and that is, as a symptom of being on the PTS, you've got a small pool of people in an even smaller pool of potential worlds. So basically you get the same people crammed into a small space. Some of those people are people who have been playing for a long time and have acquired weapons that are now legacy, and legacy for very good reasons. So you'll find them standing on the top of the tallest object around, blasting the living daylights out of something with explosive Gatling plasmas and stuff like that. Basically guns they should not have. And for significant reasons, Bethesda is unwilling to take those off people, basically because they'll stop playing, which is fine, except the fact that they need to be doing this anyway. So that kind of spoils the event to a certain extent for me, and as I say, I think it's exacerbated by the fact that it's on the PTS and there's a much smaller pool of worlds available, and that the particular players who are playing the most will be the same people all the time, because, again, there's only so many people who actually have access to the PTS. But when you find you've got these people with these ridiculous weapons that were removed for damn good reasons, standing on top of a building just blasting everything, it makes it very difficult for other players to contribute to the event in a meaningful way. And you've also got the whole ground around you just constantly exploding, so you can't see anything, you can't see what's going on, and it's really kind of unpleasant to play. It really damages the experience for other players, so I would like to see those out of the game in general, but of course once it goes to live, we'll have more worlds, more instances of the game, players will be more spread out, which includes the people using these sorts of guns, so you'll have less of them in one go. Whereas on the PTS you kind of get sort of 3 or 4 people doing the same darn thing in the same event. You might only get the one on public servers, and maybe even none. So it's not an issue that everybody will be complaining about, particularly those who are wielding those weapons, I am sure. So I would love to see that fixed. I don't really think it will be, but I think by dint of it moving on to the live servers, that will be a reduced issue anyway. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. So tying into this thing, obviously, there is another event going on at the moment, which is the Test Your Metal event. This is a regular public event rather than a seasonal one. And it's not actually going to be in the Invaders From Beyond update. It will be coming in a subsequent one on down the line. However, it is on the test server at the moment, but I haven't been able to test that, basically because of the way it pops up. As you know, with public events, they come up one every 20 minutes, only 2 an hour at the moment because there's a seasonal one on the PTS. And if it's not the one you're looking for that pops up, you're out of luck. And with it being PTS as well, you can't server hop in the same way to try and find it. So I have yet to be able to test the Test Your Metal event, which I would like to do, and I'd like to cover it and bring you a look at it. There are a few people now hanging around at the Metal Dome. I have been able to see that much, which is quite cool, but until I get the chance to test the event, we'll have to wait and see as to when I can make a video on that. But it is my hope that Bethesda will up the frequency that event pops on the PTS in coming weeks. They tend to update the PTS about once a week anyway when it's running, so with any luck they'll have a look at that and we'll actually be able to get a better taste of the event. My guess for what they'll do is just make it so that the only public events that pop up are the ones that include either the alien enemy types, because there's only a specific list of those, and this new Test Your Metal event, so that will significantly increase your odds of playing it. But until that happens, I'll try and jump in and out of the PTS reasonably often and see if I can grab some footage and get some experiments with playing that particular event. But it's going to be a case of cross your fingers and watch this space until I actually get the opportunity to do that, because there's a bit of luck involved at the moment, so fingers crossed we'll be able to try that one out later. So, there we go. That's my initial impressions of the Invaders From Beyond event. Basically fun, needs some creases ironing out, which it'll probably get during the PTS anyway, and legacy guns are awful and they need to go. That's basically my impression of it. And I think we'll see some of my personal bugbears sort of decrease in their frequency once it hits the public servers anyway, so As I say, I think that'll be quite cool and enjoyable when it goes in, and it's going to be a fun little thing that they can drop in almost whenever they like because it's not calendar based, so that's going to be a cool little event from that regards. And new weapons, new camp stuff, all that stuff, the new rewards look like they'll be fun, and I'm definitely thinking that it's going to be good to have more options in and a little bit of new variety coming into our loot pools and our weapon pools as well. That's always nice to see. But for now, that's everything I wanted to talk about with this particular event, so thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I do very much appreciate it. Down below the video you can find social media links, the merch store, and channel memberships as well if you're interested in supporting the channel in that way. Thank you very much to everybody who's done that already. I really, really appreciate it. It really helps out. And if you get a chance, do join us for the live streams as well. We are, of course, playing Fallout 76, and we're playing Control at the moment as well, which is an interesting little game. I'm having fun with that, so I do hope to see you there. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.